Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the Wednesday, October 22nd, 2025 School Board of Education meeting for the Osceola School District. Start with calling the meeting to order and a roll call. James? Here. Jan? Here. Kaisa? Here. Corey? Here. Myself is here. Item D, public comment. I have no one that signed up. That'll take us to 1E, which is student voice. Hello, I'm Eleanor Hagen.
And I'm Lily Macknick, and today we're here to talk to you about OperationsA Global Scholars. So here is where global learning begins.
What is Global Scholars? So we'll be deep diving into what our club is about, as well as activities and projects that we do, as well as the skills and benefits and takeaways from this club here at Osceola High School, why it matters to us, as well as the community, as well as visual aids in photos. What is Global Scholars? So this picture here is two of our underclassmen volunteering in our community right across the street at the Acreage Center, helping our community through a service project.
Okay, Global Scholars. So the Global Scholars Club is a group that focuses on global citizenship, cultural understanding, and international issues.
It's part of a broader initiative to help students become more aware of the world around them and prepare us for leadership in a global society.
Some of the requirements and activities, and you can see a picture right up there, is a few more of our underclassmen. We went to Hokatati, it's a Native American tribe, and we got to build these little pockets that they would make out of deer skin, and it was actual deer skin we got to use too. But they would take this and they would maybe keep their teeth from their animals that they found, or little rocks, things that they could use that were valuable to them. So as a global scholar, Eleanor and I will complete this here in a couple short months, but we had to do 12 reflections, so at least 4 of them had to be on some type of literature that was globally connected. We had to do 4 more that could be film, fine, art, media, things like that, so movies. And then we had 4 activities that we had to make a reflection on. So we did way more than 4 activities. We were lucky enough to, but you just had to do 4. You must do at least 3 years of a foreign language. So Eleanor and I both took 4 years of Spanish. And then you have to take 16 courses that are global content. So at Osceola, global issues, environmental science, any art or music classes, cultural cuisine, AP Bio, things like that. And then your biggest part is you have to complete a service project. And that's at least 20 hours of service to your community that you work on something global.
Activities, research on global issues. For example, we are currently at the Osceola High School, we are housing 4 foreign exchange students. So what our club is hoping to do in the upcoming term is to have a panel. So we're gonna just hopefully have a discussion, an open panel where they can discuss global issues that they can face in their country, as well as some potentially here, and seeing if comparisons and contrasts, as well as global communication. Another thing with the foreign exchange students, we're going to be the welcoming community, the first line of communication for them and our students. So when the foreign exchange students arrive at Osceola High School, they'll be greeted by the Global Scholars Club so that we can bridge the gap. As well as service learning. So as you've seen in some of the photos, we have global service projects and global and local and volunteer projects. So one that I'm very lucky that I was a part of was volunteering at the Acreage Center and building those birdhouses that we can put in our community, as well as projects. My 20-hour project currently is volunteering at the Open Cupboard in our community. So not only does the Open Cupboard work with communities, food shelf here, it's on a broader scale, working with the entire state of Wisconsin, a little bit because it is a government funded, so some of the food is only that the government sends, so we have to, how can we maximize that And another part of my projects is acts of kindness to surrounding communities, not only ours, but how can kindness spread?
My project, I tutor a 5th grade student at the Osceola Middle School actually. So one time a week I go over and spend an hour with her, and really just like trying to bridge the gap between the language barrier, because she struggles to speak Spanish or speak English, and her primary language is Spanish. So it's very hard for her to communicate with her teachers, with her friends, so things like that. So I just go and I work with her on just learning the basic words, because it's hard to communicate if you don't know English. Everything is English in our country. So it's a unique project that like not a lot of people get to kind of take that step and go work with them. But I definitely did not think when I was in 5th grade I was going to be working with a 5th grade student speaking Spanish. So. A little glimpse of our Global Scholars field trips. You can see a lot of them there, but I'll just highlight my favorite one is the Hispanic Flamenco Ballet field trip that we just took last week or 2 weeks ago with the Spanish language students. We are hoping to go with Miss Almley, we might be graduated, but to the Festival of Nations with the cultural cuisine class and have a Q&A with our 4 foreign exchange students.
My favorite is the My Peace Corps journey presented by Hans Hobesch last spring. Hans Hobesch was a graduate from Osceola, but as well as a part of the Global Scholars Club. He is currently in Zambia. He recorded a Zoom call, actually live from Zambia, talking about his what his mission is and how Global Scholars, especially in OHS, has led him to that position. So really, I got to see a really cool part of something that I didn't even know really existed, Peace Corps. So that really brightened my eyes in understanding that global skills and benefits. So here is a picture from the Midway Market. We had a dance class, the Saudi Egyptian dance. This dance comes from the south of Egypt, a traditional dance style, raps Osceola, which means dance of the stick, traditionally rooted in the martial art of Tachizi. With the stick, that dance is also defense, so we also got to see how a dance and what we thought was a dance could also be part of defense for a different culture, so that was really eye-opening.
It was kind of cool. We got to invite Miss Only to come dance with us, and it's like, it was a lot of like hopping around but like tapping the stick, and it was like almost like how an insect would like warn like a predator. It was kind of like that was incorporated into their dance a little bit, so that was very cool. Okay, so some personal growth and behind the scenes. So this club has helped me learn to think and discuss critically and about global challenges. Like I said, I never thought in 5th grade that I would be working with a Spanish-speaking student and have the privilege to help bridge that gap. The picture right there, we went to the Hokkaida Tea, like I mentioned earlier, and that's just us in front of their little exhibit that they have.
Academic relevance, support social studies, world language, and STEM learning. So part of the 16 required classes, those mostly come from those classes. So what Global Scholars, to get that requirement, it is awarded through the Department of Public Instruction. Only 200 kids in the entire state of Wisconsin earn the WEGA certificate, the Wisconsin Global Education Achievement. So this is a very big deal through academic studies as well as those projects, which leads into career relevance. So taking all these classes, it prepares us for the future, for understanding global issues, global health, everything revolving around global culture. So that was really eye-opening.
So why does Global Scholars matter? So in the picture you can see, this is like actually inside of the Native American exhibit. The woman speaking to us, she was our tour guide, but she's actually part of the Dakota tribe. And her grandfather was one of the chiefs actually. So it was really cool to get to hear her perspective of the story and kind of make you feel more connected to her, because this like actually happened to her and she got to experience the tragic things that happened. Okay, so why does Global Scholars matter? It fosters global competency, so it cultivates students' abilities to understand and value diverse perspectives.
as well as developed critical skills, critical thinking, problem solving, deeper understanding of interconnectedness.
It prepares for future careers, providing real-world experience and developing leadership skills.
Encourage empathy and awareness, helps create awareness and empathy towards students' own impacts on the world. Connecting back to the Peace Corps presentation, Hans was actually over there he was a pre-med major at St. Olaf, going over there to Zambia to spread awareness about malaria. So when he comes back to the United States to finish his schooling, he already has that awareness of how big a different population of people affect malaria compared to here in the United States. So I thought that was really interesting.
It connects students globally, so connecting students and educators across different cities and countries throughout virtual and in-person events. So that connects to my service project actually. I'm kind of like an educator, my student would probably say, because I help her learn a lot of English things. So it very much connects us and almost makes me feel like I'm her friend and she can trust me and go connect with me in a way that I would not connect with somebody else.
Access to opportunity. It opens doorways to future programs, jobs, and internships. With the Peace Corps presentation, since it stood out to me so much. Since with Hans being pre-med, me and Lily are both possibly looking into careers going pre-med. So having another Global Scholars member have a doorway of opportunity that we could possibly step into in a different setting is really cool to even think about, that we could possibly travel to spread awareness about something.
Okay, and then we have some visual aids here. So, I'm sorry, one of these actually is printed upside down, but you can pass them around. They're like, one side is upside down, one is not. So there's a little bit of a flyer that is about our Global Scholars. But on the board that I mentioned earlier, the flamenco ballet dance, in the top right corner, you can see that is me up there dancing. So I was fortunate enough to be one of the students from Osceola that got to go up and dance. And the people in the costumes in the front are the flamenco dancers. And they were willing enough to like bring me and immerse me into their culture. Like they taught me how to dance in the way that they would. They're more sensual. They are very like, use their hips a lot. We're like, in America, it's just kind of you do your own thing and dance how you want. But they were willing enough to teach us how to dance. And that was very cool, I thought. And their costumes are gorgeous, and not only did they sing and dance for us, but then we got to be part of that as well. In that picture on the left, that's me and then Gavin Almley, who graduated 2 years ago, and we're eating a cultural dish that we got at the Midtown Global Market that Eleanor mentioned earlier.
The two pictures are of our underclassmen, a part of the Global Scholars Club. One is at the Acreage and one is at
Hokatati.
Yeah, sorry. But with the underclassmen, even though me and Lily are seniors hoping to pursue that WEGA certificate, our underclassmen are still involved so that they can have the opportunity to still get the WEGA certificate just like us, hopefully.
So a big quote that I feel like is really connected to Global Scholars is culture is about making people feel good about how they contribute to the whole. So it's more about making awareness to know that everybody and every culture matters just as much as your own. In the pictures, that was one of the Dakota women, again, she was our tour guide, and she was telling us about, like I said, how her culture is such a big part of who she is, and now she works for their tribe again. But she just really explained how much, like, even though these terrible things could have happened to her grandfather, the king, it really truly continues to affect throughout their whole entire world. So.
Thank you so much. We appreciate your support and thank you for the opportunity to present today for the Global Scholars.
Thank you.
Any questions? That's Tristan.
What was that dish that you guys had?
The one I had?
Yeah.
So it was like a crepe, but it was very like crunchy. It wasn't like a French crepe. It was more like, I think it was like some type of Japanese food. It was a dessert. Mine had, what did mine have in it? Chocolate and strawberries, and I think Gavin's had more like savory, but it was very good.
Was it deep fried? Was it like deep
Yeah,
fried?
it was like huge though, like literally like this big. Like you could not finish it.
All the food there was so good
good
too, because they had different vendors of like everywhere you could go. Like there was a whole grocery store and multiple of them in the same place. It was really cool.
If you haven't gone, you should go.
Yeah.
There's like 27 different types of food.
Yeah.
Culture. Yeah.
How long has this program been in Osceola?
This,
Well, I know Brecken Styles was in it, so like
I think since 2015.
15.
No, I think 2016 is when they started.
I think it's important to note that Ms. Onward is the one who's keeping it alive.
Yeah.
Because when you see all of those field trips, she's always hungry to see, oh, you're going there? Oh, our global scholars can go too. She can tag along and make magic happen. And without Ms. Onward making the magic happen, it could have easily just dissolved. But to what both of these young people have stated, with only 200 students in the whole state of Wisconsin, it's a big deal. And that's why they're announced at graduation, and that's why they get a medal, because it's a big deal.
It is a lot of work,
It is
not
a-
only
we have
during the
spent-
school day, but also outside of the school time.
Yeah, we have spent 4 years trying to get through all these things, and surprisingly, a lot of like your English books that you read, they don't necessarily like line up exactly what you need for global scholars. So a lot of it you are reading on your own, and a lot of the movies or anything you do on your own. Or we miss out on a school day, but we get to experience what we do, so it's totally worth it. But then in the day.
what's also cool about, my favorite part about this club is even though there's so many different classes that we have the opportunity to take, they're all connected in some way of understanding culture. So AP Psych is actually related to language and understanding language. And I thought that was really cool because I was like, what? Like, I didn't think it would connect, but it really does, especially to global issues and everything. It's so cool.
Even your math classes
Yeah.
will go towards it. You know, your AP stats, you're analyzing data, and you're working on trying to find the probability. Well, everybody that figures out any disease or has ever found a disease pulls a statistic from that. So it all leads back in some way.
It looked like there's maybe like 10 of you in the club right now.
Well, there's us 2 seniors.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's about 10 and I've recruited probably about a half a dozen more. So our goal is to kind of just keep growing and kind of keep the word out there, because I would really love, especially in a small town, to have more students have the opportunity to kind of be more of a well-rounded student.
And the big component is, in the past, it's been 4 years of a world language. That's a must-do same world language. So that was a requirement. They just changed it where it's 3 years of a world language now. But that, I mean, in order to take 4 years, you have to be very dedicated and committed.
I know I took Spanish 2 years over the summer because it didn't fit in my global work or whatever. So
It's a huge commitment.
And we see it, phasing out of French, right, that left some students,
Yeah.
because it had to be the same language, so that was the other component to it too. So there's definitely been some obstacles that have probably hindered, your membership or your, identifying students that would qualify, that want to go above and beyond and support the community and culturally connect with people. So it's amazing to see the work that you guys are doing.
I just think what cool opportunities. I mean, some of these things you're doing, you're never gonna get another chance to do some of these things, and that's just, I'm quite frankly kind of jealous.
Yeah.
that's why when they're like, anybody want to come dance? And I was like, me? Like, push me out. Like, I will never get to do this again. So
I mean, it's just really incredible program. I love it.
me too.
I also give you credit for speaking here tonight in front of this big table and this awkward-looking group. So.
What did we say?
Thank
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
I'm gonna leave the broken clicker here.
Sorry about that.
But it's okay.
Alright, following that amazing presentation, brings us to the board's consent agenda. Board, what is your wishes?
I will make a motion to approve the consent for the consent agenda.
Motion by Frank, second by Kaisa. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, say nay. That is approved. Item 3, Finance and Operations 2025-2026 budget update.
Ooh, what is that, guys?
All right. Following that.
Get ready. We put together just a short presentation. A lot of these are gonna be repeat slides from the annual meeting, but we wanted to kind of bring it back, go through it again. I'll go through it fairly quickly for you. Now that we have all of the pieces of the puzzle finalized, now that we have all the pieces of the puzzle, we've been able to finalize the budget. And we have a clicker. Oh, okay. That's okay.
Yeah, I know.
So again, this is a repeat slide from the annual meeting packet, just going back through, showing you, the percentage of where state, local, federal, and other revenues come from. We've typically seen the local a little bit lower and the state a little bit higher. But this year is a year in which we really took a jump in the local, meaning the tax levy, and the state was reduced. On the flip side of that, again, looking at our expenditures between Fund 10 and 27, a good illustration of how salary and benefits are the largest portion of our budget. Personal services will include, for us, you know, if we bring speakers in, that is a little bit higher. Speakers in, we contract out services, it's a little bit higher, and I anticipate it to continue to get a little bit higher as we go into the next couple of years, because we have a lot of services that we have been contracting out for with CSA in particular.
Like speech.
Yep.
School
CT.
site and.
Things that we don't have readily available to us, or maybe have the need to have a
We don't
full
have,
time.
yeah, we don't have us, and sometimes we can't find the staff to staff those positions, so.
You know, it's just something to talk about and for you guys to be aware of, but at this time of year, we're actually working in 3 different budgets, right? We have the preliminary budget that we presented in June of this year. The purpose of that budget is because our fiscal year starts on July 1st, we need to have something in place for our staff and just for the board in general, a working budget. This again was created from many assumptions and estimates, and we don't have the pieces. Student counts finalized in September, the equalized values and property tax values finalized October 1st, and that last piece, equalization date on October 15th. At the annual meeting, again, we bring a preliminary budget. This is still preliminary. We have a few more of the answers that we need, but not all of them. And then tonight, we bring to you a finalized, a budget that we ask for you to adopt. General aid. This is, the money that, you know, it's designated in each district based on a state funding formula. This is something that gets a lot of talk at the state level, the funding formula not being equal, and it is what it is. I mean, they haven't changed it. I don't know if there's talk about changing it. This was released on October 1st, and as you can see that 421 districts will receive an increase, but 301 will receive a decrease, and we were part of those 301 districts that saw a decrease. This is because our 3-year rolling average, I shouldn't say it's all because, it's a large part because our 3-year rolling average on our revenue limit worksheet finally caught up to us, that declining enrollment. Now our 3-year rolling average has gone down. So you can see that in 23-24, we're about 9.5 million, 24-25, 9.2, and then this year, 7.8. And again, going back to that revenue limit worksheet, which we'll see, it has an inverse relationship, right? As our equalized aid goes lower, our tax levy for the community will go higher. Again, just talking about that special education fund, how it's related to Fund 10, the amount of money that we receive back from the state in aid, 25-26, it's a little bit higher. We're gonna actually probably estimate about 39% that we will get. Estimate from general fund is still about the same, about 1.6 million is what we anticipate transferring at the end of this year from the general fund to Fund 27 to make it balance. This is an update of the actual tax levy because we did see a few changes come through after everything was finalized. The enrollment was a little bit lower than we thought when we got down to the finalized FTE. We had a few open enrollment, prior year open enrollments that came through on the revenue limit. We were at 4.35% increase at the annual meeting, and I think a 5.668 or 69 mill rate, but we're now at 5.69%, and the mill rate, finalized mill rate will be at 5.71. Reviewing our debt schedule for Fund 39, we don't have a 38, we've paid off all of that debt, so you can see that in 28-29, we have a final debt payment scheduled. I have every confidence that in 27-28, we will roll that last 110,000 into that payment. So essentially being debt free in 2027-28. Just a historical view of the mill rate now that we've finalized it. This is another slide from the annual meeting, but we've just inserted the actual number.
This is for 24-25 comparison, because of course not every district, has updated their data yet, not requiring anything until November 10th, but we still sit, low in the middle board conference. You know, I like to preface this with, we don't know what's going on in those other school districts, we don't know if they have debt, we don't know if they have operating referendums, but we do compare ourselves to middle border for a lot of other items, so when we look at mill rate, we just put ourselves up against them as well. So the revenue limit worksheet, I know you guys know this, but it's a good review. It's for general operating expenses, debt service, and community ed for us. If you wanna click on that, if you wanna go back and click on the revenue limit, I can show you what the updated one will be for this year. Finalized one, so. Yeah, so if you just wanna scroll down a little bit, we are coming in with a 3-year rolling average at 1,395. And now if you wanna scroll over and up a little. We had, that's okay.
Still not cooperating.
The prior year open enrollment, that was what I was referring to, that was a number that we didn't have at the annual meeting. We had, I think, about 214,000 anticipated in private school vouchers, so that came in a little bit lower. And then if you scroll to the bottom, you can see that our new levy for general operations is 9277836. The debt remains the same, community ed remains the same, and then the total levy matching that number from a couple slides earlier at 10,568,426. An updated slide, again, from the annual meeting. Now we have a little bit better understanding where we're gonna be for fund balance. Our policy is not to fall below 20 or exceed 30. We'll get into this more in depth when we look at kind of the Baird model going forward, but if our predictions remain as they are for 25-26, we'll be at about 26% at the end of this year. Just wanna show again how we are lacking behind inflation in terms of per pupil on that revenue limit. About $2,381 behind. You multiply that out by simple math of heads 1414, and we're about we'll round that up, $3.4 million behind inflation on the revenue limit. So just a recap for this first year of a new biennium budget, we no inflationary increase on the revenue limit. There was no increase in per pupil aid. As you know, we had declining enrollment. Our operational increases are ongoing maintenance needs. They continue regardless of that declining enrollment. Currently, we're going to be operating at a deficit this year. This is something we've been talking about. It's projected to be 832,796. Any Okay.
Questions, comments, concerns on the budget update? Seeing none, that brings us to 3B, which is certify the tax levy for 25-26.
This is a document that we bring forward every year, just kind of summarizes everything that I said, and then shows you per municipality what that levy will be. So and then how much of that 5.71 each of those different portions of the levy are. So that 10,568 is broken down again. General operations is about 501 of the levy, debt's about 58 cents of the levy, and then community service about 12 cents. So we're just looking for approval for this so that we can move forward and again get the tax levy information out to those municipalities.
Which is required by state to be out by
November 10th.
November 10th. Right.
I do think it's important to note that we did look at, paying off debt early, like we have in the past. And it's certainly not advantageous. The amount that you would save is so small in interest compared to what we have in the past, because the interest rate is so good that we actually had it in the presentation and then we just took it out because of the increase of, it didn't make sense for our people to have to pick that up for a savings of $15,000, which is a lot of money, but not a lot of money when you're increasing tax bills.
Do you have a ballpark as to if we just did a payment, what the mill rate did?
If we so we looked at a half a payment and then we looked at a full payment, and I think a half payment, it wasn't so much like the mill rate, when you looked at it at face value and the mill rate going up, but when we really dug down into the municipalities and how it would affect each one of those municipalities on a $300,000 value, that's really where it gave us pause, and we said, it's not worth it for us to do that. So really not necessarily the mill rate, but when we dug deeper to how it would affect each one of those, that's where we were like,
It was between $200 and $300 more to each tax bill, when we know that the tax bills were going to increase based on value of values, so. We thought it was gonna be worth a conversation, but
I think it's a good reflection, and it's being a good steward of tax dollars, is what's the better savings here, right? So.
yeah.
So this is an action item, certify the tax levy. What is your wishes?
I'll make the motion to approve the levy of $10,568,426.
There's a motion by Jan, second by Kaisa. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed would be nay. That is approved. Item C is review and approve the 25-26 budget.
I'm sorry, back up, I didn't have it up.
that's okay. I think it was, could you click on that little? This then we've just taken, so with the new levy amount, and then I just take it and pull it into the budget. It didn't essentially change anything too drastically. So just looking for board approval on. moving forward with that. Once you see it. Our certification wasn't that much off from their initial, what they gave us on 10-1 compared to 10-15. I think we had about $1,300 more.
Kristen.
So, I'm just like, so with that sheet that we just looked at, with like the breakdowns, like the municipalities and stuff, so like, I'm just kind of like confused, so is that number on the far right, how much it would be costing each municipality?
That's how much we send to each municipality, and that's what they have, when they collect their taxes, so they collect taxes 2 times a year, right? December, this first set of taxes have to be by January 31st, right? And then second set, July 31st. So they collect the taxes, and that's the portion that they owe to the school district, the dollar amount.
They
Oh.
give you a month.
And then they go
Yeah.
through by property values and disperse it out.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay,
So the way that our business managers have always said is, it's kind of like having a pie, right? And it's how you divide up the pieces of the pie.
Yeah.
And so when we look at adding property or taking property away, you're making the pie either bigger or smaller.
And there has been some new growth, I think about 2% in some of those municipalities, and overall, I think district-wide about 2%, so it has gotten a little bit bigger. I would say district-wide, but then when you dive down to each municipality, that's not necessarily true for each one. Some don't have any growth, some have less. If something comes off the tax roll, which is pretty typical, I would say, within the village, right? If something goes onto a TID, it's gonna come off. Maybe not as prevalent out in the ones that are in the surrounding areas, but they offer some tax breaks for businesses if they, it's a whole other conversation, but.
Right.
Yeah.
thank you.
When we go, like, let's think a little bigger, so we get people that say, we'd like to go take our property to a different school district, right? I'm gonna go to Amory, and I live on the border of Amory and Osceola, but I'm in Osceola School District, and I wanna take my property and take it to Amory. The reason why we would say no to that is because we're losing property then, which means that municipality, which let's say it's Alden, now has a smaller pie to disperse their amount of taxes.
So it means I'm gonna pay more.
Oh,
Right.
okay, that makes sense.
Or Alden's gonna put in a huge development and they're selling a big chunk of land, and now you're gonna get all these single family homes in a tinier space, right? The land stays the same, but now you're putting value onto it. So the pie itself gets bigger, even though the land didn't change. So all of that plays into it, and it all has a direct relation to us. how we set our mill rate, like when I get my bill for my property in the beginning of December, you'll hear from people that are upset, or people are like, ooh, it stayed the same, or this or that. It has a lot of different values that we don't, as a school board, don't have any control over, right? The property value, we don't have any control over that, but we set that mill rate, and they're gonna pay their portion to the school based on the mill rate.
I'm not looking forward to mine, we got our
All the guys. Yeah.
mine went up, mind you, we've done no improvements this year, I put a flower bed in, $250,000.
So,
So they assess the entire municipality and it grows. So there's two ways. That's the first way. They reassess and realign everything.
which is in accordance with
And-
state law,
and the
you
other
have to
one-
do it every 5, 7.
It's like, it's worth $10
It
million,
has to be within
and then they
the
add
10%.
15 houses and they're all worth 500, so you add $12 million, $2 million. So as it grows, the whole pie grows as well.
Well, and the other part is, that's great for Kaisa if she wants to sell her house.
But Kaisa doesn't wanna sell her house.
So
Her
that's
neighbors
where,
want her to.
yes,
Or mom.
that's where it becomes this really complicated
It's
beast.
very complicated, but it's an excellent question you raised.
But then also it's fair market price and all of that, right? So if Kaisa's house just went up by $250,000, and let's say she did wanna sell it, you can't always necessarily sell it for that price if nobody's willing to buy it at that price.
Right.
So that's the other part of it too, but you still have to pay the taxes on it regardless. Welcome to adulthood, it's super fun. So,
They'll fluctuate too.
yeah,
If in 3 to 5 years, when some of these high-priced houses come down, it'll affect us in the down. So it's a roller coaster.
makes sense.
So there was, in the state of Osceola, for Osceola School District, we had about a 6.7% increase in equalized value from last year to this year. The state average was like 7%, but in 2007 and 2008, it was a negative amount. So that's when James was talking about when the.
That's when the housing market crashed,
Yeah.
right?
It takes a couple of years to catch up, but yeah.
All right.
Thank you,
Little-
I appreciate it.
Little tax levy 101 for you.
So you guys got reassessed this year?
Even though we were
It
reassessed.
was pretty bad too. I've heard a lot of complaints.
252,000, I think.
Her house is worth 2.2 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, she'll let it fool you.
It won't be that bad, because,
What?
it will not be that bad.
Because everybody's gonna go together.
Mom, Susan.
Because that's what we had, right, in the township last year.
Yeah.
So you have to
Yes.
look at the whole township, so did all the property in the township, they go up 10%? And yours went up, if yours went up over that 10%, you'll probably see maybe a small increase or decrease, but there's so many factors
Absolutely.
because it's the
Absolutely.
school, it's the county,
It's,
the
WITC gets in there too, they get a little bit. Yeah,
And there's
Northwoods,
so
yeah.
much.
and then your local municipalities, so Alden or the village or the town. So all of those pieces make up the tax bill.
It doesn't really matter what that
So the school is just one small percent.
Your mom has to break down your taxes. If you saw their taxes, you could say this goes to WITC, this goes to the school district, this goes to the road aid, the roads.
It's really fun to actually kind of look at it and be like, oh, look.
It's all
It
broken.
is not.
I think it's fun.
Until you pay it.
Until it comes out of the pocketbook.
So I'm just looking for you guys on final approval, and like I said, it did not change much. The, local sources obviously went up a little bit, still looking at that 832,746 deficit. So just looking for final approval so that we can move forward.
Moving forward. I will make a motion to approve the 25-26 budget as presented.
I'll second that.
Second by Jean. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed, be nay. That is approved. Baird budget forecast model.
Yeah, last piece for tonight, we have been looking at this, I think we had it in March or April, the document that we had at that time showed a higher deficit for 26, 27, and then obviously the subsequent years because it's a domino effect, right? But with the reductions that we've been able to take this year and cost savings that we've had, and then obviously knowing that what we know that 26, 27 is locked in because that's the second half of that biennium budget. This is what we would be looking at for 26, 27. That's when you talk about forecasting out, that is the most solidified year that we have because of course it's that second year, right? Then that 27, 28, 29 become a little bit more hard to
navigate, because that'll be the new year of biennium. You know, they're gonna come back hard, probably for general aid, more increases in sped, stuff like that, so we don't know. And then 29-30 is, you know, I would say a guess at this point. So this is just you know, we had last meeting, we said we were talking about facilities, right? This meeting, we're talking about operational. Seeing that in 26-27, if that deficit stays true, we will dip below that 20%. We take a large hit in 27-28, and then we won't be around in 28-29 because we'll be negative.
Question.
Yes.
September membership FTE, those are estimates.
Yep.
But that's the ratio, right? It's not actually heads and seats?
Correct.
Okay. And then the others are placeholders with the exception, I mean, we know the 325 is built in right now.
Yep.
But categorical aid, we don't know after 26-27, and the TIP equalized value growth, 4% is a conservative estimate, I'm assuming.
Correct.
Okay.
So just bringing this forward, because these are conversations that we're gonna have to start having here in the near future about how we're gonna handle this from a financial perspective. This will change, you know, we'll bring this back again in probably a couple months after we start talking staffing, because we will start talking about, you know, as we say, we're working in 3 different budgets, we're also really working in 3 different budgets. We're closing out last year, working in the current year, and getting ready to start the next year's budget. So 3 physical budgets that we're working in at any one time. And we will start talking staffing and what that looks like and how that fits into this. The next thing is that 26-27 is set as far as what we know we're gonna get or not gonna get.
Right, it's always a big variable, and we have no idea.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to note that that number for 26-27 is significantly lower than it was originally when we did this the first time because of reductions that we made. The fact that this year we have over an $800,000 deficit predicted, we're still within the fund balance 20 to 30%, which is a lot based on planning that's happened at this table. So thank you for that, but it is really hard to see red all the way across. And I think about a student sitting next to me with a sibling going through our system going, what does this mean for his education, right? It's hard.
Just a reference back though, we knew we put money into fund balance 2 years ago, knowing that we were gonna come back and use it these next 2 years when our operating referendum fell off, so just for.
Well, we
there's no
made
big
intentional
rents here.
reductions, yeah, we made intentional reductions
Yeah.
so that we
With
could do
less than
that.
that, correct, as well, yep.
Yes.
But look where the tax levy's gonna go. Today we just did 10 million, it's gonna be 12 next year.
Yeah, I put a heavy, I was very conservative in the estimated equalized value that we were gonna get, just cause
Right.
you never know, so I again, was pretty conservative in that number, so I would think it might be a little bit lower than that, but it's easier to come back than add more.
But if that trend's gonna continue, because the enrollment part kind of caught up to us, we're gonna see that trend, and it's gonna come more on local taxpayers than the state.
Yeah, we've shifted, right, we're more locally funded than we are state, which was never the case, right?
We have about 3 to 4 years, if not 6 years, before it becomes stable. Where that pre-K number and the graduating class are somewhat stable, it's still a significant ways away.
Well, 120 or 25 is gonna be closer to 100. In the next 4.
When I rolled over these two, I said, remember when we used to have a surplus? And that's true, I mean, conversations were very different at this table when it wasn't red there. I mean, those are hard conversations that are gonna have to be had, because, you know, I remember looking at this and we'd go, it's in the red, but then look, we're positive again, and then we teeter right on that line. Well, 1.5 million, you know, deficit for 26-27 isn't just, we can make it, we're gonna have to do something.
There was more time spent at the table talking about what projects we were gonna do with our
Correct.
maintenance money.
Correct.
And we haven't had that conversation at this table in a lot of years.
And I think this is the same conversation happening at a lot of tables. And that's the reality of a rapid for your information. We'll bring it back again, probably in a quarter.
And what more information would you like for us to bring back, right? I recognize we're early. I mean, I think about culture killers in school districts, right? Talking about money in a negative way, and like, right, that's not something that's delightful to talk about. But we also want to be really, really clear that this isn't something we're hiding, this isn't some super secret plan, this is a
We also
reality.
can't put it off till last minute.
Correct, and this is a reality in which we need to all keep remembering when we wanna do great innovative things for our students and make sure that they're ready for whatever's next.
And aligning with, you know, when can you have an election and how many questions you can ask and how you get punished if you fail. And so looking at all those factors and how they align with our calendars
And I think back to our last meeting when we talked about the facility study, right? And then a survey. That leads us back into what do we do with the survey? Do we need to survey? Should we survey? What are we surveying? We can't just go into this with facilities and just go, it's fine, we're fine, right? We have to have intent and purpose on the whole big picture as well. Thoughts, questions, Tristan?
Wow, that's,
What year are you gonna be elected into office?
hopefully next year. Wow, that's like, that's all I can say. I mean, as long as I've been here, I mean, honestly, I can't even imagine what it would look like without red numbers on there. It's just kind of upsetting to see, and just our deficit going to continue to grow is concerning and upsetting that still, yet after we even went to the finance committee conference, that we made some impact, but it's still not enough, because I mean, like, look at where we're at. It's just upsetting. It's unbelievable too that it's come down to millions of dollars in deficit, and it just, what are we gonna do? It's just,
You look at that deficit there, the 1.4, do you remember how much we're transferring because we're not fully funded in special ed? It was 1.5. So, right, it's just like when you're advocating for dollars for special ed, and when you look at the math, it's like, oh my gosh, it's literally that same amount of money that was fully funded program, which students need.
And is required by law to be provided.
yeah,
It's not the only area that's being shortchanged, but
No.
right.
What
But
difference
that
it would
one,
make?
that one fix, the one area that they could fix would cover that.
Be drastic.
But again, the public will say the school board doesn't know how to budget.
Well,
And could the school board do a little bit better in some areas? Sure. Every school board, everywhere could do better in a lot of areas. But we will get blamed for all of that. Yet, it'll be a governor of one political party, and then everyone else from the other party will never agree on how to spend the money, so nothing will ever get done. And then the next election, it'll be whatever party is the governor, and then the other party will take over the other thing, and nothing will get done. And we're gonna still see this crap, and here we are for several more years, getting nothing done. Looking at numbers like this, because no one will wanna approve anything, because if they don't get their way, they're not gonna let the governor get his way, no matter which party is in control. And it's a fun dance that we play. And then the other people yell at whatever governor's in charge, whether Republican or Democrat, because they're an idiot, no matter what their party is. It's great.
You're
It's so
forgetting,
great.
you're forgetting though, when Tristan's governor. this
But when
will
you're
fix.
governor, you're gonna make a difference.
Remember, please remember where you came from.
Yes.
I'll make sure they put something in their special funding. for
Politics is
Osceola
so
High
great.
School.
It's just so great.
Yeah, I mean, well,
That's why nothing gets done,
But
because
isn't the
each
rate
party doesn't
different
want
at
their,
a historic high?
the other
It's
person
never
to get
been
anything
that
done.
well,
At the end of the legislative session, was it high? After they, like, decided on all the budget
I
stuff?
think it just came out like 2 weeks ago, it said it was
Oh, I
an
didn't
all-time
see
high.
that.
I was talking to, a current member of the St. Croix County Board, and they were talking about like Hudson and stuff too, and how their school board, I think, they just closed.
Oh, they are hurting
Yeah,
it right now.
Yeah, and then it was posted on Facebook, and there's just all these people in the comments, it's just like, when elections come out, just remember what this board did.
Yeah.
Make sure when you go to the voting booth that you know exactly what these people did, and I'm like, this is not their fault.
But
Like,
it's, right.
like they didn't have an option. There's
So
just,
much bigger.
there's just, yeah, exactly. There's just no funding.
And it's such, schools are such a passionate item, right? Because we identify positively with it, with some negative, but mostly positive. And then it's funded by taxes, so it's flawed by design, right? It's public schools, it's schools for all that is funded by the public, and even, you know, I would highly advise at some point doing door knocking. These guys know that I love door knocking. When you talk to people, you'll run into 70, 80, 90-year-olds that are like, oh, I'm not in favor of anything because I don't have kids in school anymore. Can you imagine if somebody said that when you were in school? Like, it's funded by all for
the future. Right?
Correct.
Exactly.
And so it, you know, so then it's leaning into the positivity of it, and, you know, school boards aren't political, but they become very political when schools are being closed and taxes are going up and things like that. That's when it gets very political.
Yeah, I was just like, I was thinking to myself, they didn't wanna do this. Like, it's not like they came into the office or like being elected or even came into that meeting and were like, yeah, we want to shut down this school.
Mm-hmm.
We want to shut down another area for our kids to be able to learn. No, they had to do this.
Or make another really stark difference that was going to change something,
Exactly.
right?
How many students are they down?
400? Yeah, I'm not sure over time. I'll
Yeah.
pull it up, yeah.
Our entire school, they're young.
Yes, yeah.
I
Well,
don't
it
quote
was-
me on
it was
that,
a
but I
fast-
feel like it was, wasn't it?
St. Croix County was one of the fastest growing counties for 15 years in the state. Like, and it exploded out 94, and no, it's not.
Well, they're catching up, I mean.
They're catching up to the rest of us,
Exactly.
right?
Well, right, birth rate is down.
The birth rate is
I had
down.
Yep.
One of my friends, when we were at the visitation, older fella, he goes, you know, I know it's not an Osceola problem. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Yeah, and I was like, and I just kind of did the enrollment. I was like, oh, he's like, clearly I was thinking about what I was gonna say, 'cause it's not an Osceola problem. I'm like, oh, thank God, what is it? But it was great. It's like, this is a whole United States thing.
And you look at like
It's-
down from 1600 or 1590 or whatever the high was in 16 or 17 or 12, whatever it was, now we're down 500 students, 400, and we picked up 4K. That wasn't around, that was a 4K around then.
Well, in my case, 4K is still only funded at half.
Well,
Right.
I'm just saying, like,
0.6.
it would be even lower, 4 or 500, I mean, additional.
It was
for
good
that.
thinking to bring.
It was proactive thinking, is what it was, before it was state
Well,
mandated.
you're down 30% what it used to be, not even 25%. It's from 10 years ago.
And I think it's also important that we don't have some super secret plan, to your point, like, right?
Right.
Like, we all didn't come together and say secretly, this is what we're actually gonna do, like, this is the conversation, right? Like, how do you do this? What's the right thing for students, for staff, and for this community? And the direction, you know, it's very different than it was 10 years ago. The conversations that can happen about how we move
Absolutely.
Osceola forward.
So if you think back to the pie chart that we started with,
Mhm.
our biggest expense is what? Remember, it was on the right side, salary.
Yeah, I was just, yeah.
And so then we come into this knowing we have a deficit this year, we're gonna probably be able to figure it out, we fund balance, we put some money in there knowing this was happening. So then it's the end of the year, do we give our staff raises? Well, it's really hard,
Right.
because if we give our staff raises, guess what our deficit does?
There it goes.
But do they deserve it?
Yeah,
Heck yeah.
that's.
Does every other industry get cost of living increases? Right.
And then if you have staff
Okay, but not-
leave, you wanna replace them with qualified staff members.
Yeah.
If you have to post their position, so you want the best staff to want to come here. And you don't want that position to, or people to be like, well, they're not giving raises there, why would I wanna go there? So you have all these things you gotta worry about. when you have to, when it comes to salary time, you don't wanna be known as a school that's not, like you're freezing salary, so all these things come into play.
Still want the best for our kids.
When I thought about Hudson, when that hit the news, I thought about, I had all these faces that popped in my head of staff that we've had that have gone to Hudson because they were able to pay their staff significantly more in a lot of positions than we can offer. And they might have came to us and say, hey, can you match this? And no, we can't. Because they had increasing enrollment, they had, you know, and now they're catching up to where we are, and I feel horrible for them, all of them, especially their students who just found out that their schools are gonna close and they're gonna have to have long bus rides and all of that, but unfortunately, that's the state of finances for public education in Wisconsin right now. So, so, it's gonna be a fun year, Tristan, you're gonna learn lots.
Good conversations.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good questions, keep
Conversation.
asking them. Alright, anything else on the Baird model? Alright, the next committee board meeting is Wednesday, November 12th, 2025 at 5 p.m. in the district office. I know, that's what I was just gonna say.
Wow.
The next regular board meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, November 12th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. in the district office conference room. Go for it.
Is this the only meeting we have in November?
Yes. With that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will make the motion to adjourn.
Motion by Cory, second by Jan. All those in favor say aye. Opposed would be nay. We're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Have a good night, everybody.